I'm Judy Gelman Myers for Shalom TV's New Jewish Cinema, and I'm honored to be here with Margarethe von Trotta, director of Hannah Arendt.
Hast du die Zeitung noch nicht gelesen?
Seite für Seite.
Die wollen ihn in Jerusalem vor Gericht stellen.
Isn't it incredible that the Hannah Arendt is offering to report for us?
She should be begging to write for the New Yorker.
Musst du dir das wirklich antun?
Ich würde mir das nie verzeihen, wenn ich diese Gelegenheit nicht wahrnehmen würde.
To Hannah, in honor of her trip to Jerusalem.
Meine Hannah!
Dieser Prozess ist sehr wichtig für uns.
Hat man Ihnen nachgewiesen, dass die Juden müssen vernichtet werden?
Ich habe sie nicht vernichtet.
Eichmann kein Antisemit? Was ist denn das für ein Humbug?
Du hast ihn doch selber gehört, er hat nur dem Gesetz gehorcht.
Hannah, bitte, du kannst das so nicht schreiben, nicht für den New Yorker.
There were recognized Jewish leaders, and this leadership cooperated with the Nazis. They'll have our heads for this.
In den Daily News gab es folgende Schlagzeile. Hannah Arendt's bizarre defense of Eichmann.
Sie denken, deine Artikel sind großartig. Und die wünschen dir den Tod. Manche sogar auf sehr fantasievolle Weise.
The greatest evil in the world is the evil committed by nobodies.
Did you really have no idea there would be such a furious reaction?
Trying to understand is not the same as forgiveness.
Diesmal bist du zu weit gegangen.
It is this phenomenon that I have called the banality of evil.
Margarethe, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
You've been an actress, a writer, and a director for over 30 films. Can you just briefly describe the bulk of your work?
Oh, I started as an actress, but I always had the wish to become a director. Only in the early 60s or even late 60s, it was not so well seen for women to be directors. It was very seldom. So I entered like, you know, a snake into the field of filmmaking as an actress. And when I saw my chance coming, that I could jump from one profession to the other, that was in '77, then I made my first film, The Second Awakening of Christa Klages, who, by the way, was shown here in the Film Forum in the time. And I have still a seat here because in this time, you know, we were all women fighting together and so. And since then, I didn't make a film as an actress anymore because when I arrived where I wanted to be, I forgot it. And now I did, yes, 30 films, as you say, but they are not all the films who were shown in the US. But you remember perhaps Marion and Julian?
Yeah, of
That
course.
was a film that was very well seen here.
Yeah.
And also Rosenstrasse, maybe, no, for...
Which you co-wrote with
yes.
Pam Katz.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that was a story of women fighting for her Jewish husband being imprisoned in the Rosenstrasse, no? You remember the film, I think, yes.
Can you describe the ethos of the new German cinema movement with Schlandorf and Fassbinder? You were active in that also.
Yeah, you say new. We said then young, but now we are all old. No, that was that was in the 60s and 70s. We were still very energetic and very vitalized, and now we are still doing films, but there's a new generation and even a third generation already who is making films now. Yeah. We can't see ourselves as the new ones. But we had a lot to say about our past. When we started to make films in the 60s, it was just coming up, all the clearance of about our past and what our parents' generation did and did not say after the war. We were raised in silence about our past, no? And it was only in the 60s that we started to understand. And then we were very angry against our parents, not my parents, they were not involved, but in general, our parents' generation, no? We were very, very heavy against them. It was our arguments and attacks and so. But now the new generation, they overcome it already, so they have nothing to do. That are their grandparents or grandparents who were involved. So they are much milder, no, much less angry than we were.
Let's talk about Hannah Arendt. You obviously admire Hannah Arendt. What is in her that you admire so much?
I didn't admire her from the beginning, I must say, and I even didn't choose to make a film. It's sometimes things are coming up to you without that you want to do it. It was a friend of mine, a friend of ours, let's say, also of Pam Katz, who said, you have to do a film about Hannah Arendt. She was such an important figure for Germany also, no, but also in the world as a philosopher. And I was, in the beginning, I said, I can't do that. How can I make a film about a philosopher, a person who is thinking? What shall I show then? No, what is and so what humor when some idea is coming up to you, and then it goes into your mind, and then it starts to grow, no, and and so I started to read and to mainly also her correspondence. I met still people who knew her. Right. That was very important. That's always very important for me to understand somebody, you know, in her feelings and her thoughts, in her being, and her being surrounded by friends, by people, and so, no. And slowly, I became a little bit familiar with her. And now, in the end, now you can say I admire her, but not from the beginning. It was because I thought she was arrogant. In the beginning, I had this feeling, like so many other people, no, saying, oh, she was arrogant, she was without emotions. But that is a misunderstanding, I think. So it was also a sort of defense of herself, no, not to see people too much in her interior feelings, no. But it was not true. She's really not arrogant.
Really, because arrogance is the overwhelming feeling that I get from reading her writing. That she absolutely doesn't allow a fraction of a second of thinking that she's wrong.
And that she is also involved. No, because as a Jew, she's involved in the story of Holocaust. Even if she was not in a camp, she was in internment camp in France. But she did feel and she did suffer, and everybody who knew her said she was suffering a lot the moment she heard about it, but as a philosopher, she couldn't admit to put in her own feelings and her own emotions. She had to be, you know, in a way objective and in distance. She's not a writer. Harry Mulisch, for instance, who was also with her, he's a Dutch writer, and he was with her during the trial in Jerusalem. They were in the same moment, they were both there. And he, as a writer, he wrote a sort of novel, not novel, but a book about Eichmann. And he came up to the same thoughts and the same impression she did. Only that he wrote it with his own emotions. As a writer, he could permit himself, to put that in. But she, as a philosopher, no. So that gave these misunderstanding that she was without heart and without feelings and so.
How did you decide to narrow it down to rather than making a biopic of Hannah Arendt, you narrowed it down to the 4 years that she was covering Eichmann's trial. What were the steps in that decision?
Yes, no, we first thought we might cover the whole life. perhaps starting with coming to Heidegger into his seminar. No? When she was 18, she went to learn philosophy with Heidegger, and then until the end. And then 33, she had to go away from Germany as a Jew. She went to France. She stood there until the Germans came in. Invasion of Germans in France. The French people all of a sudden treated them as if they were Nazis. And she says it in the film. She said, we became a very strange persons because of our enemies. We were put into concentration camps, and of our friends, we were put in internment camps. So
it's a great line.
Great line. Yeah. So she had to flee, or she could flee. She had the chance to flee from Gurs, that was an internment camp in the nearness of the Pyrenees, and via Marseille, Lisbon, like so many who had still the chance to come then to America. In 41, she came here, but she was stateless for a long time. She gets the American nationality only 10 years after, or even more. So that's a very movement-oriented life, no? It's a life full of things you can tell about, but you never can go into the profoundness and into the depths of her thinking. And still she is a philosopher. So making a film about her, you must make a film about thinking. And so we chose then in the end, after a lot of discussions and reflections, and so we chose these 4 years with Eichmann, because also for me as a German, Eichmann is an important figure. And in the same time, you have an adversary. You have a sort of enemy in front. It's not only invisible thinking, but as a spectator, you can look at him and can observe him. And therefore, I chose also the black and white material, the real one.
Talk about your use. I mean, that was absolutely brilliant. That instead of using an actor to portray Eichmann, you used footage from the trial.
Perhaps you know the film. There was made a documentary film of an Israeli documentarist called The Specialist. You know, that was a long time ago. And in this film I saw even long time before I had the idea, or the idea came to me to make a film about Hannah Arendt. So I was very impressed by this film in the time. And when we started to write the script, then I said we have to look again to this film, and we have to choose with the help of this material already what we want to put then in our film. For me, it was from the beginning, it was clear and absolutely necessary to have this real material of Eichmann. Because if I would have chosen an actor, people would see, oh, he's so brilliant, look at him, how he does it. And you know, you would have been admiring in front of his performance and not to see the mediocrity of this man. And I wanted that the spectator looking at him and listening to him. And that is, I think, also a problem for Americans, because they don't understand German. When you are German and you understand his language, it's such a non-language. It's such a non-individual language. It's only made of cliches and of bureaucratic, expressions. And he even can't finish a sentence in a grammatically right way. So really you feel that he's not thinking, and he's really built up out of all things around him, but not with his own mind and with his own feelings. You know,
Arendt uses the phrase, I can't even pronounce it in German.
Gedankenlos, thoughtless.
Thoughtlessness.
Yes.
Which is
It's a very German expression.
Yes.
And Mary McCarthy also said to her, because they were very friends, as you know, Mary McCarthy was Hannah Arendt. No?
Right.
And when she read her articles, she said you can't say thoughtlessness.
It's a very different meaning in English.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Do you think that a lot of the controversy about Arendt's philosophy comes from a mistranslation of that term?
Oh yes, maybe. Maybe. I didn't know that it's such a different meaning in
Yeah,
American.
in thoughtless in English just means like you just don't care.
Indifferent.
Yeah. But rather than the German meaning, which I understand
is the philosophical.
To mean not thinking,
yes.
an absence of thought.
Absolutely. That is a philosophical expression for her.
Right.
And we understand it. For me, it's clear. But I didn't know that it's so different.
Yeah,
maybe the controversy came also a little bit from there. It was a whole bunch of things which were not so well seen by the New York intellectuals, but perhaps it's one of the things.
Well, Arendt herself actually later regretted using the term banality of evil.
Hannah Arendt regretted?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that she thought she would have had to explain it better.
Yeah.
Because the radical evil is still coming from Kant. It's also a philosophical expression. And she saw then that she can't use, because in her book, The Origins of Totalitarianism, she used the radical evil all the time. She spoke about the radical evil. And then observing Eichmann, she said, I can't use radical evil with him. It's it's really something very deep and very going really into the roots of thinking. And you can't describe him like that. So she had to find another expression. And it was not even her. That was Karl Jaspers who spoke about the banality of evil.
Right. Talk about your collaboration with Pam Katz. I find it very interesting that you as a German and she as a New York Jew would collaborate on Hannah Arendt.
She was even much more enthusiastic when this friend came up telling me that I have to do a film about Hannah Arendt, and I said, oh no, how can I do it? And then I asked her, because we already did the film Rosenstrasse together.
Right.
And we loved each other immediately. And then afterwards I did a film on her script for German television. So we already worked together for several films. And then when this idea came up, I immediately asked her, what do you think if we would try? Do you come with me? Are you on my side to write? No? And she was so enthusiastic immediately. Then from one side I was this friend who was pushing me, and then from the other side she was pushing me, and so I couldn't flee anymore, no, in front of this subject and this theme. So and she immediately, because she's living in New York, so she went to the archives and she already looked up all the articles of the controversy, and so she was much more already into the subject from the beginning than I was, because I had other films to do, I was still hesitating, and so she came up with all this material and then sure I came here for 3 months. She came to Germany or to Paris, and we worked for times. We worked together on the same table, let's say, and then she worked here, and we were emailing all the time. Sure, we were all the time in contact and in touch.
Did you take different approaches to the material?
Yeah, she did the scenes in English, and I wrote the scenes in German, because the film is shot in the 2 languages now. And she has this wonderful Woody Allen wit, what I don't have. So all the scenes where you can laugh in the film with Mary McCarthy or with this woman at the New Yorker, no?
Right.
That was her. That was her.
Oh, that's fascinating.
That's fantastic. No, she is wonderful.
How did you meet?
Oh, I searched some Jewish writer for my film Rosenstrasse, because it started, the story started in New York in a Jewish family, and there were sitting Shiva. And so I said, I have to have somebody who's knowing everything, and he was giving me this touch of New York Jewishness. So, you know, that is a special sort of living and thinking, and you know this. And I had a friend with whom I did my promotion, my press work in Germany, and she knew Pam because she's married to a German cameraman, and so she was also she speaks German and she understands German, and so she already said to this other person, I would like to, for once, to work with Margarethe von Trotta, and that my friend knew, and she put us together.
Wow.
And we met the first time we met here in New York, in a coffee shop, and we met, and from then on we were immediately. That was really the love on the first look.
That's great. In an interview with the World Socialist website, you said, and I quote, "I think as a German," unquote. What does it mean to think as a German?
To think as a German means, for me, I'm not even German. I was stateless until my first marriage, so I had not the nationality of German. But living up in Germany, being born in Berlin during the war, having all this time after the war in the 50s, I told you already, we didn't know nothing about our past, but we felt that there was something horrible, but nobody told us. Then coming up in the 60s, where we were very rebellious and very angry. So that is the Germans did all these horrors, and we inherited it. We were not the people who did it, but we inherited it from and so we had to react, no? And our reaction was very, very strong. But we are still looking to that, and we are still not understanding, and we are still angry with all the people who did. So that is, when I say I'm German, that is my heritage. And my intellectual, but also something what is not in the genes. I protest that I have these genes, but you know. So we have to react. That is not the new generation. They don't feel still this responsibility in a way, but we did.
I love Walter Abisch's book, How German Is It? Implying that there really is a sort of German mentality. Do you think that Hannah Arendt also thought like a German?
Yes, absolutely. She was a German intellectual. German Jewish, sure, but she came from German philosophy. From Greek philosophy, Platon was, sure, also Heidegger was Platon, no? And Kant, she was even not born, but she lived up and was educated in the city of Kant. Kant was Königsberg, no? She was raised up in Königsberg, so she read, with 14, she already read Kant. So she was really very, very early. She was very intelligent. So then she went to the seminar of Heidegger. He was absolute into German philosophy. So she came, and also from literature. She read. She could still quote all the poems of Goethe and Schiller, and so now all these immigrants did it. No, she had a real part of German culture in it. No?
Yeah. How's the film doing in Germany? How was it? Well, yeah, and also Israel.
Very well received. In Israel, I was only one evening in the Cinematheque of Jerusalem. I presented it there, but you know, I had an Israeli co-producer.
Yeah.
I had found subsidies from the state of Israel. I had subsidies from Jerusalem Film Fund.
Yeah.
And when I presented it in the Cinematheque in Jerusalem, there was a professor of Yad Vashem who did the introduction and spoke about Hannah Arendt, and the director of the Film Fund of Jerusalem, he spoke about me. So it was really very, very well received this evening. Afterwards, I didn't do debates, I didn't do Q&A, so I didn't know how the real public reacted. But they told me that it goes well, and that they will do a lot of spectators. They said to me that in Haaretz I had a good critic.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so I'm fine. No, because I was afraid a little bit how they will react. Because I'm always afraid doing a film as a non-Jewish woman about a Jewish woman. I always have the feeling, oh my God, if they accept it. But there was no problem at all.
And how about in Germany?
It was very good. And now in France, it goes fantastically well. No, I'm really fine. I'm very happy for it because I waited so long. You know, the first idea was in 2002. Then we started 2004 to think about the script and to write treatments and to write and finally I did the film in 2011. So we had to wait a long time to get financing.
Are you working on anything else now?
Yes. Now I go back to my sister themes. The next film will be about sisters, but yes.
Lovely. That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I can't go on always doing historically important women. Now I go down into the private life of two sisters.
You're known as a feminist filmmaker, but I believe that you really hate that.
I hate it because it's in a way it's a ghetto, no, to be put into the feminist corner, and that means that you are not so important, no, for many people. So I'm a feminist, but I hate it to be put in. I'm a director. I'm a film director. That's it.
Margarethe, thank you so much. This is Judy Gelman Myers from Film Forum in New York City for Shalom TV's New Jewish Cinema. Thanks. Bye-bye.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support Shalom TV with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the Shalom TV website homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to GEM. To GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive on DVD with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.